G'day, I'm Will Anderson. Welcome to Gruen. Here's a disturbing statistic. 1 in 4 coffees sold in Australia comes from McDonald's.
Now that's coffee fit for an Aussie.
Coffee fit for an Aussie. I'd have gone with tastes like Gert. McDonald's ads are filled with Australian cultural appropriation.
Okay, the thing about us Australians, everyone's a coffee critic. Our tradies construct coffee orders so complex they require blueprints.
Triple shot, 2-quarter almond latte with honey. I thought I said soy.
Oh, yeah, nothing says Aussie like a fake tradie. Now, McCafe, or as I call them, McCackers, have created their own fake Australian drink.
When a nation loves coffee, they have their own. Which is why McCafe have made a cup for a truly coffee-obsessed country. Introducing the Australiano.
The Australiano, in the words of my people, yeah, nah. Oh, that's a better name, the Australiana. And the Australiana has a very un-Australian side effect.
I saw it and I had to try it. Oh, that's bloody lovely.
Oh, it turned her into bloody British, isn't it? But what's in it? I mean, what's in it? Like, what is in an Australiano? Is it just an Americano with fewer shots? Turns out, no.
Made with McCafe coffee, chai, and native wattle seed.
Oh, Aussie, 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 chai, chai, chai. But hang on a second, we already have an Australian coffee. It's called a flat white.
What is a flat white?
Oh, I'll tell you what a flat white is. Macca's UK, or as I call them, McCuckers. It's a proud Aussie invention, like the Hills Hoist, goon, or hanging a sack of goon on a Hills Hoist. Just ask McCuckers.
And New Zealand will concede the pavlova. Before the record, we invented the flat white.
That's flat right. In fact, there's only one drink more Australian than a flat white, and that is a flat white drunk out of a shoe. Now, this is an Australiano. Ba-da-ba-ba-ba. Yuck! Please welcome our panel. Filling in for Todd Sampson is Adam Ferrier, Camo O'Keefe, Annie O'Rourke and Russell O'Halcol. In the last year, the cost of one product has risen by over 50%, and yet every day thousands of Australians line up to buy it. It's not iceberg lettuce, but it is why one day there won't be any icebergs. Petrol! Professional petrol purveyors, or servos, as we actually call them, are trying to ease the pain at the pump with warm, fuzzy advertising. The servo, formerly known as Caltex, and even more formally known as Ampol, is now once again known as Ampol, and is bringing back the romance of the road trip.
Excited? Want to go see Grandpa?
Australians travel far and wide. Whatever your journey, we're the fuel that gets you there. Ampol, Australia's own.
Oh, the new Wolf Creek looks great. Not fun fact, when that song came out, petrol was 53 cents a litre. Annie, why pretend the pit stop is a pleasure?
Well, service station owners, like many Australians, are out there looking for love. They're in a really tough business and the business is under a lot of threat. So they've got to do whatever they can to attract people into their servo stations. And the research shows that about 80% of Australians choose on price and convenience, but there's another 20% who will make a decision based on a feeling. And so they've got to try and grab that feeling and attract that people in, because it's actually the difference. Getting that 20% or getting a proportion of that 20% into their business makes it whether they keep their doors open or close their doors.
But it's funny because they say, you know, like the pit stop being a pleasure, like it's not even featured in the ad. And it was funny for me because you think that is actually the least appealing part of purchasing petrol. You know, you want to be in and out as quickly as possible. And it might have been just me, but I was watching the kilometres travelled and actually doing the dollar signs in my head, so it was probably not the message they were trying to communicate. Shit, that's an expensive trip to Grandad.
Yeah, you're like, Grandad better be entertaining. It's cost us $900.
Yeah.
But it's lovely, isn't it? It's almost nostalgic, though, Ampol, re-owning the Australian road trip.
Yeah.
You know, it's something that historically, that's a little thing in your brain, you know, the bird's nest in your mind that equals the Ampol brand. Australian road trip was what they own. So they're just sort of reigniting it, and it's something that they can absolutely build long-term brand success on just by actually just focusing in on...
Being the Australian one.
Yeah.
And it's classic Australian track. The go-betweens are beautiful, reignite all that nostalgia. It's really simple, nice, simple emotional advertising. It's quite good.
Do you think it'll get you in the door, and then, because, you know, most service stations only make a couple of cents on each litre of petrol that they sell. So they've got to not only sell the fuel, they've got to sell the experience and actually get you in, and hopefully you buy one or two extra things, because that's where they actually make their money.
That's right. It'll get me in the door because my car will run out of petrol, and so I have to stop somewhere. And then if I like this one just a little bit more than the other one, I might gear towards stopping there.
Yeah.
But you times that by 10 million, for 10 million people who see this ad, all you have to do is just change perceptions just a wee bit to get pretty good increased market share.
Yep.
So as Russ said, I reckon just focusing on the Australian, tapping into the emotion, using a nice soundtrack is pretty simple but clever marketing.
Yeah.
Shell doesn't sell the servo experience. Instead, they push their premium fuel called V-Power, which sounds like a massage device flogged by Abby Chatfield. Shell also runs a series of ads claiming to fuel the feeling. That feeling? Global warming. And its ads star lycra-clad cyclists. Wow. I think those two need a different kind of unbeatable protection. Russell, how can you sell premium fuel when prices are already at a premium?
Well, it's one of the really great difficulties, one of the great tensions if you're in petrol marketing. They think they're in a low involvement category. And as a result of thinking that they're in a low involvement category, they actually try and, well, not really spend the money you've got to spend to build a brand. So V-Power should actually get all of Shell's spend, right? They shouldn't really worry about Shell because we know what a Shell looks like. All you need to do is just see, you know, the livery, the colours, and the thing's branded. So there's this ongoing, continuous tension around where do I put my effort? Can I actually build a brand that people are going to divert themselves to come and buy? It's tough, but, you know...
But if you
they sort of only half do it, I suppose is what I'm trying to say.
Do you think if you were going to do it, that's the way you'd do it? Because I think in terms of performance, like, I mean, that, I don't know what that feeling was, but it didn't. I'm not buying it. But I think the thing is, if I think about performance, it is for motor enthusiasts, right? They are willing to pay a premium for it. Would you not tap into the emotion that is around kind of exhilaration, thrill, speed? And actually connect with an emotion that they are willing to pay that little bit extra for.
Yeah.
You don't think that two middle-aged swinger cyclists does that job?
So there's, you know, as you said, there's loads of emotion. People are spending bucket loads on their car. The actual price of fuel is pretty small compared to the amount of money people spend on cars. There's also a thing called the price placebo, which basically means the more you pay for anything, the better you think it's going to work. So wine, art, whatever, you pay more, it works better. So there's loads of emotion, loads of people willing to pay a lot for fuel. I reckon they could have V-Power times 5, have Mega Power, Triple X Power, and charge $10 a litre, $15 a litre. There'll be people out there who want to buy it.
I don't know. What I saw in that ad is really different from everybody else, because I think that they deliberately chose that couple in the Lycra bicycle enthusiasts because it's their gesture towards the building towards sustainability, environment. People who care about the environment still need to, you know, and this is their really big threat for service stations. So I think that's the beginning of their brand bridge to talking about sustainability, etc. And that was one of the ways to do that. So I'm not sure about the couples.
I think that is probably actually what they were trying to do.
Yeah.
They're like, you know what, we can't do anything for the environment, but we can encourage you to occasionally ride your bike. Servos don't just want us to buy petrol. They also flog the world's worst sunglasses, and once upon a time... pornography, I've been told. Now BP want to make filling up more fulfilling.
We're all going places, not just from A to B, but through life. Wherever you're going.
Hi, son. You ready for a story?
Here at BP,
Perky feet.
we can help you on your way.
Hi, son. Sorry we forgot to give you a name. You're just a marketing tool. It's me again, master of accents. The most unrealistic part, he was able to buy just one disgusting sandwich without being upsold. Servos always want you to buy 2 of every product. Noah, thanks. Adam, why is it impossible to buy just one of something?
I think Servos used to make all of their money on petrol and cigarettes. Both of those categories are on the nose, so they're now having to sell food. They're just not very good at it. So they keep on giving discounts to people who are already going to buy the snack, thinking it's going to attract more people in the door. But it's just giving away food to people who are already going to buy it. And it's just not clever marketing. Why on earth are you going to give me a second one free when I'm already going to buy the thing?
Yeah, because that'd be a trade deal.
Yeah.
It'd be on the basis of, OK, we will give you, more Mars bars so you can make more margin. So it'll be a
You're getting boring now.
It's a volume.
Adam, it's nice to have you back so I don't have to say it.
Yeah.
There's one brown liquid that's still cheap at the servo. Coffee.
I'll have a strong, smooth, creamy latte.
Be your own barista at Coles Express.
Should have called it Coles Express. Oh. Thank you. Well, 7-Eleven is trying to class up the dollar coffee. They released a coffee scrub so that you can smell like a 7-Eleven. Who would buy that? We would. Ooh. Man. 7-Eleven also released this ad. Oh, they forgot the final steps. Drunk by a hungover tradie, then immediately shit out. By the way, we spent a little bit of the afternoon working out whether that should have been shit, shitted or shat. So, Cam, why is my dollar coffee pretentious?
I think the thing is we've talked a lot about the fact that the focus for growth is squarely on convenience, but that's not very sexy in terms of messaging. So these businesses need to give us an emotional reason to buy into their brand. So by picking a product like coffee, which is kind of, evocative and sensory, they get to do more evocative and sensory storytelling. So they can put some pretentious messaging in there and give us permission to buy coffee from a servo.
I've been wondering recently whether 7-Eleven's the best marketer in Australia. And I reckon they just about might be. That this, to me, is genius, Will. But genuinely, because they understand so we've got the 4 Ps in marketing: product, place, promotion, price. They understand that price is actually the most important of all the P's. And if you're able to build perceived value, so let's say the perceived, I'm looking at that ad, how much do you think I'm going to pay for that coffee? Just looking at the ad, $5, right? You think you're going to pay $5 for that coffee, you're going to pay $1, right? And so the perceived value is here, the actual price is there. They sell shitloads as a result.
And they do sell shitloads, although shatloads is also accepted.
I'd agree, because I was thinking maybe 2-3 years ago, a 7-Eleven coffee cup would have been like the walk of shame, right? Yes. Whereas I think if you actually look now on the streets in the city, people are happily sipping from their $1 coffee cup. And I think it's actually a really smart move, given that, yeah, they're making less money on fuel, it's more expensive than ever. That's actually a reason to visit and purchase. So,
That's
yeah,
right.
definitely smart marketing.
It's absolutely fantastic. And that difference, that value, is also then haloed onto all the other stuff within 7-Eleven as well. So you start to feel like everything is imbued with that same level of value as well. So not only is it good for the coffee, it's good for the entire brand. It's very, very good.
Servos also want to pump you for data with apps like this one from South Australian brand OTR.
Oofed. You've unlocked the magic app.
The OTR app?
Mm-hmm. Just one tap, and oofed, and oofed. Now, you gotta scan the QR code, pump, then save. Oofed.
And for my second wish, I'd like some personal space. And if you like being hassled as you fill up, you'll love At The Pump advertisers. Adverto. Sounds like Russell's supervillain name. In the US, some customers have to watch a 30-second unskippable ad before the pump even starts. Tell me, Adverto, will we ever know peace again?
Oh, that idea, that 30-second ad before you can pump, that's okay if you get cheaper petrol as a result. Yeah, so we get to watch free-to-air television, commercial free-to-air. We get it for free because we watch the ads. And so the contract's pretty clear. So hopefully you get to pay cheaper. It's cheaper because you've watched the ad. There's so much evidence that the closer you get to the point of sale with your advertising, the more the advertising works. And so that real estate at the pump is prime real estate.
But if you cause other people inconvenience, if it's the delay and other people in that peak time inconvenience, then I think it's not just about the advertiser getting in your head. You're watching other people watch an ad. You know, surely that's not going to be good for your brand.
Well, here's something else to look forward to then, Annie, because because as petrol stations become electric charge stations, that's, they're saying that'll be 20 minutes. So your dwell time is going to turn into 20 minutes. So what an awesome opportunity for advertisers. Basically, that's what it will turn into. Those 20 minutes will be watching advertising, consuming, hopefully in a nice environment. But that's, in the end, what's going to happen. Yeah?
But do you think, interesting, I think if you had to sit and dwell for 20 minutes, you probably would take out your mobile phone. Maybe people grab a book. But actually, I think the genius of this current format is that because you have to have your phone in the car, you are actually captive for that 30 seconds or, 45. So there's so few media that would be the case now, with everyone dual screening or, completely on their phone. I actually think that punchy message right before the register is actually kind of a gold mine.
Yeah, totally.
It is the one time, too, where you just actually be happy to watch an ad because you're just like, I'm so bored just looking at the world.
God forbid I use my imagination.
Give me content! While other ads make the servo seem friendly, only one brand makes the servo seem like the coolest place on earth, the petrol station called Crossroads, Cranebrook.
From 1971 to 2020, this is the Crossroads.
The next Fast and Furious movie looks awesome. I'm pumped. Let's move on. We lie to kids in all sorts of ways, from I love you all equally to that drawing is fridge-worthy, but is it right? We've asked our agencies to sort it out. Here is a pitch that lying to kids is okay.
Hi, I'm Tomo.
And I'm Brooke. We're a part of Hero. In a world that's increasingly lacking in joy, we wanted to show that some little lies can actually be a good thing.
And if there's any kids still up, it's probably a great time to put them to bed.
Wow, you've convinced me. Our second pitch comes with a change of pace. So we're not kidding when we tell you this one is not safe for children. Here's a pitch that we should not lie to kids.
Hey, I'm Adam.
I'm Callum. We're from Jack Nimble. We realise there's two main reasons that parents lie to their kids. Little lies they tell them throughout the day to make life easier. The big lies that they tell them to protect their innocence.
Protecting children is every parent's most primal instinct, so we wanted to play on that. Because every lie you tell your kids can be used by anyone else for any other means.
All right, let's see what our panel think. Adam, which of those two did you think was more effective?
The first ad was lovely, and I hated the second ad because it ruins the innocence of childhood. It's evil, but brilliant. So, number 2.
Cam, which one for you?
Yeah, I probably feel the same. I think my heart goes to leaning to protecting the magic of childhood, but that second spot doesn't leave you, and so I think my vote is for 2.
Annie?
Kills me, but number 2.
Russell?
No, I can't possibly vote for number 2. Number 1, it's just beautiful. It's true, it makes me feel warm, and I love the little type treatment at the end as well, so no, number 1 for me.
It does mean, however, congratulations, Jack Nimble, you took our breath away, but we will get this trophy to you. Unless we're lying to spare your feelings. Before we go on, please be aware that our next conversation is about an advertising campaign to prevent violence against women. In 2016, the federal government began a 4-part campaign with the aim of starting conversations that break the cycle of violence. The series began with the message, "Stop it at the start," evolved to "Unmute yourself," and the final instalment, "Bringing Up Respect," was released this year. Let's take a look.
The first time you tell her she's strong. Such a strong girl. The first time she believes it. The first time you say, it's okay to cry. The first time he tells his brother.
It's okay to cry.
The first time you say, disrespect is never your fault.
It's because of her dress.
The first time she knows
Her
it.
dress had nothing to do with it. Seriously, grow up.
The first time you teach him to stand up for others.
It's all about respect.
The first time he steps in.
Leave her alone.
The first time they meet. Every little talk you have shapes them.
You mind if I sit down?
Yeah. Bring up respect. Violence against women. Let's stop it at the start. Authorised by the Australian Government, Canberra.
Cam, what do you think of that ad?
It actually genuinely moves me. I might get a little bit teary. Yeah, so I've got a lot of respect or admiration for this spot, and I think it tackles a topic that is often not handled particularly well. I think it's really well cast, the performances are really natural, and so it feels very relatable. So it doesn't feel contrived or overly constructed. But I think that the line, it's every little talk you have shapes them. I think that, for me, is the real power of the ad, because it sort of packs a punch, and as a parent, you can completely relate. There's almost like a call to action for you to reflect on the sorts of conversations you're having with your kid and how that might shape their views in the future, which I think is incredibly powerful as a spot.
I think they have done a really good job here, but they've actually done a really good job for 10 years. This has been a 10-year program to get it to this point, and it needed to take slow steps, and they needed to build up their authority. And what this is, for me, is not the same campaign redone or with different packages. It's actually slowly taking us on a journey where a lot of Australians have got to take this journey.
Yeah. Through the ad, we see examples of adults teaching young people about respect before seeing those skills used in real-world scenarios. Adam, does showing us how to behave actually change our behaviour?
Yeah, it does. It's called modelling. It's kind of like monkey see, monkey do. And we're social creatures. We all like to fit in. So we look at our cues on how to act from wider culture, including advertising. And so what happens in the ads is what we kind of sometimes tend to model. It's not that exact, but kind of a bit like that. Unfortunately, sometimes in behaviour change ads, you see lots of a problem. You see lots of bad behaviour and then a resolution right at the end.
But I think that's the power of this spot for me. Because if I think about the campaign trajectory, and I have seen the other spots, I think they didn't resonate as strongly because I didn't actually place that was the reason, but I think there is too much emphasis on the problem. And so maybe particularly if it doesn't feel relatable, if you haven't had exposure to that, it does feel extreme and perhaps feels there's an element of theatre. Whereas I think you see this spot, it's really focused on the behaviour. It's, you know, and the most direct expression of stop it at the start, because you can actually see how we're shaping minds and attitudes of young people for that not to be a problem. I mean, in 20 years' time. But I think, yeah, that's why this spot is strong.
Yeah,
it does.
I agree.
When I look at this, it's a beautiful commercial. Yeah. It really is. It's beautifully written. The editing's great. The music, the soundtrack's great. I go, how effective is this actually going to be? It just needs to be far simpler in all its forms. It needs to be very clear about behaviour and very clear about what is and what isn't okay. And I think this sort of nuanced, long-form script writing, it's actually asking a lot of the consumer. We're really asking them. That's right. We're really asking them to settle into this advertising and consume it. They will, but only to a point.
Clearly, this is about societal change, long-term change. Like, for those people who are going through those experiences right now, does an ad like this speak to that as well?
Well, it's a really good point you make there, because a really interesting fact is when the Women's Weekly put Rosie Batty, the domestic violence campaigner, on the front cover of the Women's Weekly, it became the worst-selling Women's Weekly they've ever had. And that's because women didn't want to buy the magazine and have it at home and cause challenging conversations and problems. This is an ad about domestic violence where 1 woman a week is killed by their partner, where 10 women a week in Australia go to hospital because they're injured. So, you know, you can't underestimate the importance of it, but also how important it is to have the conversation in the most positive way. And particularly if you're projecting the ad into homes where there is violence. And we are talking about a big problem, and we've got to find ways of having the conversation. And it's not just about being in your face and saying violence is wrong. Yeah. We all know that, but it's actually happening, and they've got to find a way of building the person who's least likely to engage on that subject matter, but actually needs to, in the most positive, easy way, and thinking, actually, I have a role in that and I can do something about that. So I think it's for a government advertising on such a complex issue, I think this is a really positive campaign.
The first ad in the series had more shocking imagery.
Violence against women starts with disrespect. The excuses we make allow it to grow.
That ad showed something the latest ads didn't, acts of physical violence. An older campaign used shame to target perpetrators. We've tried shock, we've tried shame. Annie, what works?
What works in tactic-wise is when you've got a really good evidence base and that evidence base is independent and it's not caught by ideologies or beliefs or demand for action. And so what works is evidence.
The other thing that works is money. So weight, but weight of money absolutely is really, really important.
I'm glad that your answer to that question is the same in every category. What we need more of here is money.
Right, but this is...
We've got to sell gherkins. What we need more, money.
So, massive societal issue that needs mass media because where is it happening? So you have to use mass media. So if I say it needs to be retailed, I don't mean that in a crass sense. What I mean by that is retailers are there, they're in your face every day. Their advertising, they're relentless, their frequency, their mass, they spend millions and millions and millions of dollars. So, an unfair question, how many dollars per woman in Australia should we spend on advertising that this is not on, right? So unfair question, but if it's $1, then, let's call that $10 million, saying there's 10 million women. So is $1 enough per woman? No, there's no way it's enough. And we need to be thinking, okay, if we're genuinely into this, let's assume all the advertising's perfect. It needs 80 million spent on it, not probably, 10 to 20 million. It needs to have very serious investment because it's the serious investment that contributes to the actual behaviour change because you can't not see it.
Because you talk about behaviour change, and the one thing that struck me from the ad we showed first is there's that scene on the bus where the boys calling out the other two boys who are making... And that seemed like a very real-life scenario where you're showing that kid who's on the bus, seeing that girl being bullied, what to do in that scenario.
Yeah, excellent. It was lovely. Yeah. I reckon it was great. But there was 7 or 8 different ways in that one ad that you could act. And you times that by loads and loads of different messages, and I just don't quite get the one thing that you want me to do.
I was about to say, is that the challenge? Because it is such a complex problem. I'm not sure how you do break it down, because it's not one simple action, because I think slip, slop, slap is the perfect example, right? And you get it instantly. It's a very clear direction.
Look at us, all of us, responding differently to different messages that we saw there. I saw that young boy in that ad speaking up. It was enough, and it was saying it's enough just to speak up. It's enough to unmute yourself. So for some people, that's enough. We do all want change, but you can't get this change overnight, and we've got to understand that. So, while, yes, I want more money into the whole issue of domestic violence, I don't necessarily know that being bombarded with advertising is going to achieve behavioural change, particularly to perpetrators or particularly in the community.
To finish our discussion tonight, we're going to put these phone numbers on the screen and remind you there are people available to help if you need it. Thanks to our panel, Russell Howcroft, Annie O'Rourke, Cam O'Keefe, and of course, Adam Ferrier. Thank you for sitting in tonight, Adam. Earlier tonight, we spoke about Servo coffee, which tastes slightly better than unleaded. So we'll leave you with the secret behind brewing this very program, which also has a budget of $1. We'll see you next week.
How do we make an artisanal batch-roasted Gruen? Broadcast technology from the 1920s. Misused funds from the Aussie taxpayers. Glue from Play School's craft box. Ads from hell. And a desk we stole from Q&A and spray painted. Oops, I've said too much. Gruen, where the only thing roasted is the marketing.